Okay, welcome back to part two of this series, which I've attempted to record about 18 trillion times, but it's all good. It's all good. So, what we're going to do in this episode is make the combat, hopefully, or at least start implementing the combat if it ends up being way more complicated than I expect. And before I get into that, though, I want to talk about some changes that have been made to this because it looks a little different than before. So, this is what we have. Before it was just a bunch of red tiles and, nothing else really, but I'll just briefly go over this because I've already explained it a couple times but had to stop the recording because, the sound broke or something. So I'll just go over it as quickly as I can. Um, Basically, I just drew a rectangle in the back with a light blue fill to make the background, or make the water backdrop on the island. I moved the nested for loop to remember I made that nested for loop to convert all of the grid, or all the true tiles in the grid, into an array list of all the tiles. I moved that here. So now I just use tg.getTiles from there instead of doing it all in this method because I don't really need to do that. And I modified the valid position because I wanted to make sure I moved them all basically inwards one because I didn't want tiles along the edges of anything because it didn't look good. It's supposed to be an island, so it doesn't look like an island when it's up against the edge basically. But it's not a big deal. It didn't really change much. Most of the games I think I'll end up only using maybe like a size 50 map anyways, so it doesn't make a huge difference really to the game. Just thought I'd mention that. And this is the method I worked on before, and this was originally meant to be episode 2. The episode 2 was originally meant to be covering how to split up these tiles 50-50 between them. And it ended up actually being way harder than I anticipated. I expected it to be like a quick thing, but things were kind of weird, and I'll cover it real quick. Basically, num tiles is just completely wrong. It doesn't even represent the number of true tiles. So what I did here was I reset num tiles to 0 and then just recounted all of the tiles that are true. Because I guess the recursion kind of, I don't know, something messes with it, but that's what I did, and then just initialized all of the true tiles. And then if num tiles mod 2 is not equal to 0, which means it's an odd number of tiles, just remove the last one, which means there is one bug, and this is a perfect example. That is, hypothetically, because the way it reads it, the last true tile would be the very bottom right, because it reads left to right, and then next row, left to right, left to right, left to right. So if I'm removing num tiles -1, which is the last tile in the array list, it would be removing this one, which is problematic because, for example, if there was a tile right here, that means I would remove it and then it would be unreachable. And that's the only case. I've run it literally like 50 times though, and I've never seen it happen, so I feel like the chances of that happening are very low. And I think what I'll end up doing is adding a way to basically pick your map. So if you ended up seeing that, you'd just be like, yeah, no, I'm going to skip that and go to a regenerated map, basically. So I don't really view it as much of a problem, but I couldn't think of a better workaround. And then what we do is we assign P1 tiles, player 1 tiles, and player 2 tiles to be half the tiles. And we cycle through all of them and check if P1 tiles is greater than 0 and if P2 tiles are greater than 0. Just go crazy. Owner can be 1 or 2, either one. This just assigns it to either 1 or 2 randomly. So just go crazy, assign it however you want. But then if P1 tiles reaches 0, which means there's 0 P1 tiles left, obviously, the owner is defaulted to 2 because you don't want to go over the max amount of P1 tiles because, for example, if I didn't do this, math.random is not always going to be perfectly 50-50 every time. So there needs to be some kind of a check in place to make sure it does always come up 50-50. And then we have The same thing for P2 tiles, just always set the owner to 2 if P2 maxes out too quickly. And then we have owner equals 1. If owner equals 1 and P1 tiles is greater than 0, set the owner to 1. And P1 tiles minus, or subtract 1 from P1 tiles. And then same thing for the second one. And that's how we basically generate this. So now, the ugly stuff. And I might, like, I'm telling you right now, there might just be one big cut right after this. Basically, the way the combat needs to work is that we have to have three buttons basically acting. We have to have one button be the tile you're clicking, one button be the enemy tile you're clicking, and then one button, I'll just have it on the side that says like attack, and then it pits the numbers against each other, which shouldn't be bad. But it's the part getting up to that that's bad. So to what I was going to do, since the rectangle is declared within this, what I was going to do was initialize the button functionality in here. However, to use the button functionality, so for example, if it's your own personal tile, you need to okay, let me just like make some comments here just to go through my thought process. So click on your personal tile. You cannot click on multiple personal tiles, or own tiles, I guess. Can only click on an adjacent enemy tile to the one you clicked. And okay, so you can click on your own tile, cannot click on multiple own tiles, can only click on adjacent enemy tiles. I think that's the general idea. I'm trying to think of if there's anything else that I really haven't covered. So you click your tile, then you have to click an adjacent one. Is there any other checks I need to have? I guess not really, but the problem with this is that would mean when you click a tile, you have to have the data of the other tile, if that makes sense. So if okay, let me try to think this through. So if I click on, let's say, tile in position 4-9, and I want to attack the tile in position 5-9, which would be the one above it, I think. To do that, you need to pass in the 5-9. You need to pass in not only the ownership, but you also have to pass in the position, and then basically check, is this an enemy tile? Is it adjacent? Which sounds easy on paper, but I'm not entirely sure how I would be passing in that data. So let's try initializing it in here, and we'll just see how far we can get until we realize it won't work in this. So make an initialize button method, I guess. And we'll do public void initialize button. So what we want to do, let's just do tile.set on mouse clicked I hate how this formatting works. It's so annoying. Okay, so when it's clicked, what do I want it to do? So first of all, I want to check. It has to be your tile first. You can't click an enemy one. So we need to know that it's your tile. So we have to say if ownership equals oh, this is so difficult. Maybe we should just set this to button action, actually. Button action. And I don't actually know if we need to call them here. This might be just something that gets called whenever something is passed. So we'll pass in int owner. Okay, we need See, this is the problem. Like, I don't know what's passing in where. Maybe I'm just really out of it right now, but so we need to check, is it owned by you? So first of all, we would have to know which player it is. We'll assume player 1 for now. We'll just assume player 1, and then later we'll pass in an owner, I think. So the owner is passed. So the owner data is passed in. So basically, we'd have a button that just alternates turns and would switch which owner is which right now. But I don't obviously have that yet, so we'll just assume 1. So if ownership equals 1, then we want to do, we'll say tile.setFill color.red. Sure. So this should just change all of the purple. I think it's purple, right? Yeah, purple tiles should change to red. Oh, wait a second. Why did that not? Oh, because I'm not calling it. Oh. Wait, no, that should. Oh, because this is just setting it up. So I do actually need this button action. Because what this is doing is basically setting up what it does when it's pressed. What is it called? Oh, button action. Okay, I guess we won't pass this in yet. Button action. So we have, if the owner is 1, it turns red, else it doesn't do anything. And then we want to do, let's say Boolean owner selected equals false. So and owner selected and not owner selected. So then we would do, oh, okay, so what I need though is a global variable. So I think I do have to do this outside because I need a global variable because what I have right now is owner selected is in the singular tile, and that doesn't work because the other ones don't know if you've selected an owner, basically. So I think we got to move this. Let's just move all of this. This is a nightmare. So we want to put this, let's just put it in here for now. We'll see how this works. We want to do we'll do the same thing. Tile T within tiles. T dot get square dot set on mouse clicked. Something like this. So each one, basically, we need to have a, let's make it outside just in case we need to use it later. Owner selected equals false. Boolean owner, or enemy selected equals false. And then we want to do, so we cycle through and we set this for each one, and we want to do if owner selected equals 1, because, you know, if not 1, if t dot get ownership or owner equals 1, and we'll eventually change 1 out for like some other value, you know. Well, actually, we'll just say Boolean player equals true. So player will be true if it's player 1, false if it's player 2. So we'll just do, we actually have to, because I was an idiot and I was planning on doing this with more than 2 players, so I didn't just do a Boolean. So we'll just do int player equals 1. So we'll just do if get owner equals player, and which will be 1 for the time being, and owner selected, not owner selected. I keep doing that. Then do tile dot or t dot get square dot set fill color dot red. So now this should only fill one, I think. We'll see. No. Why? That's weird. Oh, because I didn't change it. Duh. So I got to do owner selected equals true. So it's saying if it's clicked, then the owner has been selected. And now, okay, yeah, now we're good. Now what we want to do is be able to deselect it also. So we'll do same thing except owner is already selected. We also have to do, though, if t.getOwner and owner selected, well, else if, actually, because we don't want it to send straight into this. Else if t.getOwner equals player, so that's just checking if it's player 1, and owner selected, this is saying 1 has already been selected, but the problem is we need to check, is it the same one that is already selected? So maybe we want to actually have owner selected be more than just a true false. Because we can't just do owner selected equals false t.get square equals color purple, because this has no check whether or not it's the same one. So like that works, but then I go like that, and then I can do it if I press twice. So we need to have some sort of check to make sure it's the same one. So we want to do maybe owner selected should be like a, what can I do here? I can set it to be a owner selected equals, we need to basically store the x and y value, or we can store even, what else makes I guess x and y is really the only thing we have to store. So maybe we can do point p. We'll just put p for now, just to be, I don't know. We might need to change that later, but this is just kind of a test run. So we'll do p dot x equals, that's really ugly. Set okay, so we'll do p equals new p, new point, t dot get x, t dot get y, and that should store both of those values. And then what we'll do is check if, or and, we'll go to a new line here just to make it look neater, and p dot x equals okay, we're gonna have a lot of parentheses here. P dot x equals t dot get x, and p dot y equals t dot get y. So this checks the one that has been saved. So you basically have to click on the exact same one that has been saved, and then if you do, then it'll set it to false, and then we'll also do p equals null, so it resets p each time. So what was that? So I can't do anything else anywhere else, but I can click on this again. So now I can, okay, now I can deselect and select. That's somewhere. We're making progress. Because, yeah, now I can't click anywhere else. Is there anything else I can do that's, like, that would break it? I'm trying to think of some, like, corner cases I can do. So I can click. Okay, no, I think we're good. Okay, so now we have that. Okay, and then if we can do if t.getOwner is not equal to player, and owner selected. So it basically says you have to pick the enemy one. You have to pick the enemy one when after the first one has already been selected, basically. So this basically guarantees that you have already gone through this process in some way. And then we have to do a check to see if it's adjacent. And we have the values now because they're stored in P, which is convenient. So we can do and oh, this is going to be a very ugly, very long statement, but it's going to work, I think. P.x we have to do we have to do 8 OR statements, I think. Because we're going to have to do OR. We have to do 4 and statements OR'd together, so it's going to be like 8 total statements. Is there any better way I can do this? So basically what I want to do is check, is it an adjacent tile that I'm clicking? So if it's an adjacent tile, it'll be do we have enemies selected, right? So if it's an adjacent tile, what is some easy way to check? I'm trying to think. Maybe we could just do dot is adjacent. Oh, that's a good idea. Okay. This is good. This is gonna make things a lot nicer looking, I think. So we'll do public boolean is adjacent. Pass in the values of the one being chosen, I think. Yeah. Okay, so we'll do int x or int enemy x, int enemy y. So what we're going to do here is check, is the enemy adjacent to the tile that we're currently at? So if enemy x equals x. So let's do one big fat if enemy x equals x plus 1 and enemy or y equals y. So this checks the one to the right of it, I think. I should have done this in a better order. Or enemy x equals x minus 1 and enemy y equals y. Or enemy x equals x and enemy y equals y minus 1. Or enemy x equals x and enemy y equals y plus 1. Return true. Return false. So what this does is it basically says in the position x plus 1 y compared to where we're at now, is it the same, or is it, because basically this is checking the position to the right, the position to the left, the position below, and the position above. So that should work. Crossing my fingers on that, but we'll see. And hang on though. So we're not dealing with the same T right now though. That was so close. So we have an issue of, because right now what this is essentially saying is checking if t.getOwner is not equal to player, which means I'm already selecting an enemy one. So I'm no longer on that old point anymore, but I do have the points. Oh, I can check. I think I can do it like this. T.is adjacent to p.x, p.y. So this is just checking from the other perspective of is the one I selected adjacent to the enemy one, I think. So we'll do enemy selected equals true. Enemy, or we'll do t.getSquare.setFill to be color.blue, I guess. And let's see what this does. So I still shouldn't be able to do anything to these greens, no. But if I select this one and this one, I can't do anything. But if I select this one, I can. Okay, so it does have some sort of checking in it. So if I select this and then this, I can't do anything to anything else. But if it's adjacent, we're good. Perfect. That is amazing. I'm so glad this is working right now. For now. Now we need to check if something might mess up here. I'm gonna see what happens. What happens? I'm gonna see if this works. I think I'm expecting an error here, but did I not copy and paste that? I swear I did. So t.getOwner and owner selected and enemy selected. Enemy selected equals false. t.getSquare.setFill color.green. So this should deselect, but I think this is gonna break. So I can do that. Can't select here. I can select this, and then I can't deselect, but I can deselect that still. So we need to also. Okay, first of all, why did this not work? So point selected and enemy. Let's just store this just to be safe. I don't know if I'll actually need it, but selected. Jesus, selected. And then we can do enemy equals new point t.getX t.getY. And I don't know if I'll need that, but we'll see. So this should still work how it did for a second, right? Okay, there's also no check on that too. I have to think about that. So we want to do actually and not enemy selected here, I think. Not enemy selected. So now we should be able to do, that shouldn't overlap. Now I should only be able to do one. Oh no, I can't. What? Huh. So let's remove this part first. Let's just remove this for a second because I want to see why this is happening. Now it's not. Okay, so I think it was just because of that. So I can only select one enemy now. Okay. So what we want to do from here is we want to basically check. Okay, the only way you can deselect a tile, first of all, so we want to do basically this same check, I think, except modified slightly. So we want to do not equal to player and enemy selected. And then we want to do enemy X and enemy Y here. And then, do I have too many brackets? I think I'm good. And then we want, how did I do this before? So I want to do enemy selected equals false and t.getSquare.setFill set fill color dot green, and enemy equals null. I just copy and I don't think this is gonna work, but I just copied basically what I had. So I have that, and I can deselect, but there is one issue. If I do that, you can't have that. If I remove this, it's got to remove the other one too. So what we want to do is if enemy selected enemy selected equals false. I think we're actually just basically copying exactly this. I think. And that should work. Okay. So, okay, so we need to be able to access the enemy. So we need to have maybe, God, I was so close. So close. So close. So the problem is this line right here, because wait, why did I make a point? Why didn't I just make these enemy and selected? Why didn't I make these just tiles? That might be really ugly. I don't know. We'll see. Tile. Tile. I wonder how much that messes up though. that might be, I don't know. Enemy.x. Actually that works because I think I have those as public. Yeah, that conveniently worked. I didn't actually plan on that. So let's see, just make sure it's functional still. Can't do that. Can't click on anything else, but I can still, so it still does that. Okay, so I think the tile works better because now we actually have the tile information saved. So what we can do is do, or actually, maybe we can do, instead of doing a new tile, we can actually set these to be the tile. It's just a second reference to it. So we can do enemy equals T. And that might mess up some issues. That might cause some issues though if I'm actually setting it equal to instead of creating a new one. We'll see. Let's try it though. And then we'll do enemy or selected equals T. So now we have that. And then what we can do is we can just do enemy dot get square dot set it back to green. There we go. So now it resets. I don't know if that's going to cause some issues or not. But we do have it functional now, so we can actually select the two tiles. And it'll reset if I deselect my main tile. That's pretty cool. I like that. Well, I spent way more time on this than I should have, so I'm actually going to stop here. I think the combat will be fairly simple from here on out, but I'll let you know if I find any bugs in the next one. I'm sure there's some kind of bug I missed, but I'm really tired, so I'm going to go to bed. I will see you guys in the next one, and hopefully I will get the combat completed.